Hello, I'm Katie.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jed.
And welcome to Untitled, the Jackson District Library podcast where we talk about all things books, movies, games, and other media, plus some library-ish things too. Today, we'll be talking to Amy, our Grass Lake and Henrietta branch manager, about The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. But before we get started, I want to thank you for checking us out. We really want to connect with you, our community, and help you to find new material to read, watch, and play. We started out by recording first chapters, which is now one of the segments, but it evolved into what you're listening to now. We really hope you email us at podcast@myjdl.com and tell us what you think, ask us a question, or just say hey. So without further ado, let's talk about what's new and coming up at JDL in August.
Let's start off with our new materials to keep an eye out for in August.
So besides the picks from the super popular authors like Danielle Steele, James Patterson, Sandra Brown, and Catherine Coulter being released this month, we have a few suggestions for your holds list that you may not have noticed yet. The first one we're going to talk about is a young adult fiction book. It is called I Kissed Shara Wheeler. It's by Casey McQuiston. It was released back in May, but it has just been added to our collection in July. Casey McQuiston writes books about smart people with bad manners falling in love. I have to completely second that. I've read her two other books, which are adult fiction. This is her first young adult fiction. And yeah, that fully tracks in both of those cases, that they are not very put together people, but that also makes them feel more human a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And it says, this particular book has been called the most anticipated young adult book of 2022. And the back cover tells us, Chloe Green is so close to winning. After her moms moved her from SoCal to Alabama for high school, she's spent the past 4 years dodging gossipy classmates and the puritanical administration of Willow Grove Christian Academy. The thing that's kept her going, winning valedictorian. Her only rival, prom queen Shara Wheeler, the principal's perfect progeny. But a month before graduation, Shara kisses Chloe and vanishes. So it's got
a little intrigue.
Yeah, it's got a lot of intrigue because the cover design is, I believe, Shara Wheeler, and she's holding up an envelope that's covered in kiss marks and everything else, and it's a pink envelope, and it's just a running thing that if you get this pink envelope with kiss marks from Shara, you're involved in something big. So and she gives them to girls and guys alike, and that it's saying Chloe and her moms moved, so it's got some good LGBTQ rep, and that's been consistent through all of Casey McQuiston's books.
So what I'd like you to notice this month is You're Invited by Amanda Jayatissa. It's a thriller, and the plot teaser from the back says, nothing could be worse than your ex-boyfriend getting married to your childhood best friend, right? Think again, because you could also be accused of murder. This lavish Sri Lankan wedding is full of guests who all have their own secrets and their own reasons for stopping the wedding. Nice. So this is for fans of thrillers, intrigue, and learning about new cultures.
Yeah, I love that.
So the book I'm going to talk about is Haven by Emma Donoghue. It's a historical fiction that they put out recently. You may know Emma Donoghue from the book Room, which she wrote in 2010, and it's still a really popular book, and it was adapted into an award-winning film. Fans of her historical fiction writing and Slammerkin will appreciate more from that genre with Haven. The teaser reads, 3 men vow to leave the world behind them. They set out on a small boat for an island their leader has seen in a dream, with only faith to guide them. What they find is the extraordinary island now known as Skellig Michael. Haven has Emma Donoghue's trademark world building and psychological intensity, but the story is like nothing she has written before. Ooh. I know Skellig Michael is where they really popular filming location. It's really hard to get to islands. Mm-hmm. And that's where they filmed The Last Jedi and the end of The Force Awakens. It's the island that Luke hides out on.
So next up, we're also going to touch on some movies and TV series that are going to be hitting our shelves in DVD form. One that I'm really excited about, and if you don't have Disney Plus, you might be really excited about too. It is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So that is set to release at the end of August. I believe 26th is the official launch date for that. But just know it's tonally pretty different from a lot of the other Marvel movies. It leans harder into tropes that are more associated with the horror genre.
Interesting.
But it does it really well. It strikes a really good and really interesting balance between what you would come to expect from a superhero movie and those horror tropes that they're pulling inspiration from.
I think they handed the reins to like really solid hands for that one. The director, Sam Raimi, is huge classic horror director, really famous in the genre and famous in the superhero genre. He directed the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
So I think that it just makes sense that he jumped in on this one. Marvel's first like truly horror film.
Right.
Get Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yep.
So something I'm really excited about is the season 1 DVD release of 1883. I suspect this will be the only season because there will be upcoming other eras that will focus on the Dutton family. So if you're familiar with Yellowstone or you've heard of Yellowstone, this is a prequel. So this focuses on the Dutton family and the start of their ranch and how they got their origins and the trek across the Oregon Trail. It's beautifully narrated, has a compelling storyline, and I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't love it. I'm just super excited to be able to offer it to everyone through the library.
Patrons come in quite frequently asking to put Yellowstone on hold. I've heard just great feedback about it, and I really love the showrunner, Ty Sheridan. He's a phenomenal writer. His films that he's directed or have written have all been fantastic, so it's nice to hear that 1883 just slots right into that.
Absolutely.
On August 9th, we'll be getting Sonic the Hedgehog 2. My nephew went and saw this in theater with his friends, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. They had a great time. He said it was really funny. It has everything that you liked about the first one, just like ratcheted up.
I actually enjoyed it more than the first one. I tend to look at some of the movies that are based on video games in a more negative light. I've seen them all because I have children who are very big video game fans. And so from the standpoint of someone who does not play a lot of video games but watches all of the movies, I can say Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is definitely one you won't want to miss. Something coming out in August on DVD was not on my radar is a documentary called Cow. And it focuses on the life of a common dairy cow, and it's called Emotional and Compelling. And my gut tells me that, you know, there could be some horrifying or sad elements to this documentary. I don't know for sure, but I think it will definitely be something that it captivates a wide range of audiences.
Yeah, the reviews are phenomenal for it. It's 96% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's interesting because the little blurb about it here says it acknowledges the great service of this specific cow. But it's neat to think, when things wind up on our table, all the culmination that led to that.
Yes, absolutely.
The last release I want to highlight is Pam and Tommy. This was an FX series specifically about Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee, and in the late 90s when they had their sex tape leak. It seemingly could be what you think maybe like really pulpy, or it could treat that subject matter like really taboo and like make light of it. But I found the series, despite being a comedy series from Seth Rogen, it had lots of heart. It really put you into the perspective of what that would be like if that happened to you. It was treated as a huge joke, of course, at the time, but it had a huge monumental effect on both of their personal lives and their careers. And I think the show does a really good job at like getting really into ground level and understanding what that would be like for someone to go through, especially what that would be like for a female to go through.
You know, I find that really fascinating, and I have added this to my to-be watch list, but I haven't seen it yet. As a child of the 80s and 90s, these personalities were hugely popular at the time, and I remember the media and the backlash and the resulting career destructions because of it, and I hadn't really thought about it much since. And so I'm glad that there's been a resurgence of the interest in someone wanting to focus on this, especially since women's issues are such a strong thing in our culture right now and something that everyone's talking about through different lenses. And so I'm glad that we have one more lens to look through.
Yeah, same here. It was a kind of like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It is definitely R-rated. It's a mature rating. It is a bit raunchy, but they started off almost kind of like pop raunchy, but then it really turns the tables and it grounds it. And I think by starting off on that light note and then turning into the real world after effects of what that would be like, it's pretty heartbreaking, but it's really well done.
Sadly, we aren't able to touch on every new thing that will be coming to our shelves. So be sure to keep an eye on the new shelves at your branch. But while you wait for those new releases, let's hear some JDL picks from our staff that you can get your hands on right now.
So our first staff pick is from our Hanover branch, and I just want to give a shout out to the Hanover staff because we're recording upstairs in the Hanover branch location right now. The Hanover staff say, we're noticing a resurgence in the Warrior Cats series at Hanover Library, and it's by Aaron Hunter. Tweens and teens are literally carrying armfuls of the series out the door with them and asking for more daily. Warriors is a series of novels based on the adventures and drama of multiple clans of feral cats. The series is primarily set in fictional forests, and once you're hooked, you'll be reading for a while, with several subseries that focus on major themes like adventure, the concept of nature versus nurture, acceptance, the struggle of good versus evil, and all people being a mix of good and bad.
I remember in middle school when these, because they've been around for a while, but even when I was in middle school, they had a popularity. So it's always fun to see how cyclical some of these series are and how the interest wanes and then comes back really strongly.
There are 7 subseries, all of 6 books, so that's quite a bit.
And if cats aren't your thing, there's a entire entire series within that by Aaron Hunter that is dogs.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, see, there we go.
The next staff pick we have is from Charles at our Eastern branch. Charles says, I had something like a personal crisis when trying to come up with a suggestion from among books I've read in the last, 2 years or so. Did any of those books stand out as worthwhile suggestions? It made me realize I haven't read anything that really stood out to me in quite some time. But finally, I arrived at the following. The Traitor Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. It's the first in the series of hard, dark fantasy novels. The Traitor Baru Cormorant follows the titular character as she undergoes and survives continuous, soul-destroying loss. Baru is not a hero, but she faces the challenges set before her with heroic fortitude, overcoming them not with might or magic, but knowledge, political maneuvering, and of all things, accounting prowess. Dickinson's crisp prose and tight writing bring Baru, the world, and the myriad of people she encounters starkly and impactfully to life. Anyone who would appreciate seeing strong, believable female characters navigate a brutal and realistic fantasy world is sure to enjoy this book. Sounds pretty interesting.
It sounds fascinating. I saw myself in a couple of those, the search for knowledge, and I'll be putting this on hold for sure. I've not even heard of this book before, have you?
I have not. Charles is something of like a science fiction expert. So if this is something that he chose to highlight out of the last 2 years of what he's been reading, I think that speaks a lot.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the science fiction genre, so I will definitely check it out. And also great description, Charles. Thank you.
Yeah, good writing.
Looking for some material suggestions but want something more specific to you? Head to our website at myjdl.com and select the JDL Picks option under the Explore header at the top of the page. That will take you to a form where you can fill out all the specifics you're looking for. Within a few days, one of our staff members will email you with a list of materials they've selected based on what you asked for.
You can also ask to have them place holds for you, and so it's like a surprise on your hold shelf.
This is a great way to find new things by crowdsourcing information from your local librarians. Next, we're going to highlight some of the events going on at JDL in August.
Something we just finished up at the Concord branch, and I'm excited that we're going to have them at Eastern and Meyer, are blood drives by the company Versity. There's one on August 3rd at Eastern and August 22nd at Meyer branch. And the interesting thing about Versity is that the blood that you donate actually stays in our local area. And sometimes you'll even find out information about the patient that it's given to, depending on the information that they receive and privacy and things like that. So I'm very excited that we're bringing that to our local branches.
I didn't even realize that was an option with blood donation. What an awesome, easy way to have such a positive impact on your community. It can seem scary, but they do everything they can to make you feel comfortable.
So to wrap up our events for today, I'm going to talk about our end of summer parties. Now, Brooklyn's having an ice cream party on August 10th, and Parma's having a dunk tank along with a ton of games, both indoor and out, on August 20th.
Awesome. So different pockets of the community to get into if you'd like to celebrate our end of summer.
Yep. Wrap up summer and do it up right.
Check out our events calendar at myjdl.com to find out more information about these events and to see what else we have going on. We always have plenty to explore.
Up next, we'll be interviewing Amy about The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us today, Amy. Want to tell us about the book you brought?
Sure. I brought a graphic novel by Charlie Mackesy called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Came out 2020, I believe.
I always screw up the order. I know there's a boy, I know there's a fox, I know there's a mole and a horse. I couldn't tell you what order they come in.
I mean, I have it memorized because I've been evangelizing this book for like a year and a half.
Which is fair. Yeah.
I searched for it today on Amazon, and it came up in every iteration that I could think of.
Did it?
In the,
That it was
in the
like-
smart search.
It's very
Any
searchable.
way that these
Yes.
have been arranged. Yeah.
So I've heard a lot about this book. It seems to have exploded in popularity like the moment it came out. So can you give us a brief talking about like what it's about, what it kind of looks like?
So it looks like it's very like beautiful but minimally illustrated. A lot of it is black and white with some color. In terms of what it's about, it's kind of about the story is the boy. I combined boy and bull.
Yeah. Gotta shorten that title down.
Yeah. I mean, it is long. It's kind of the story, in my opinion, of the boy, and he interacts with these other animals and kind of learns different things from them. It's a lot of sharing wisdom and experience. So I kind of think of it almost like a growth journey for the boy.
I've heard it compared a lot to like Winnie the Pooh, but also it seems to be not just because of the young boy talking to like animals, but because it seems to be like leaning into like English philosophy a bit. Like it's very much the sayings, the aphorisms that it has are very quintessential English aphorisms.
I would say very much so. And I would say it's a very fair comparison to Winnie the Pooh because it does have that. It's a sentimental book. If you are not interested in sentiment, and that's fine, you're not going to like it. But if you are interested in sentiment, it does have those quintessential things that speak to everybody. They are quintessential because they have meaning for everybody and you can connect to those. And you'll find, I think, in my opinion anyway, that one of those messages will speak to you maybe more than the others, and it might be a different day. So for me, it's like a balm. It's very soothing, and reading the book or listening to the audiobook, which is amazing, to me calms me down. So I'll listen to it so I don't get road ragey.
Yeah.
So there's an audiobook
There is an audiobook.
for what could be considered a graphic novel.
Yes. So I heard about the book from my coworkers, and it kind of spread through both of the branches that I worked at. And then I heard about the audiobook afterwards, and I was being a smart aleck to my coworker, and she was like, I got the audiobook, and it's really good. And I'm a big fan of audiobooks. I like to listen to them on the commute, but I was like, why would you want an audiobook of a graphic novel? And I had to eat my words because it's really good. I am glad I took a chance and trusted my coworker on it. There's beautiful music. It takes place in a forest, and so you can hear the sound of birds. You can hear the sound of water running when they're near a river. So it's very immersive in that way. And what I particularly enjoy is how well the author who narrates it himself really paints the pictures with his words.
Gotcha.
He describes the scene that you're looking at. And he has such a wonderful, soothing voice and great accent that it's just really amazing.
Yeah.
But-
I always appreciate when the author themselves is able to do their audiobook. I feel like there's something a bit more like personal and intimate when they're the one delivering the information, so that it sounds like exactly what's happening.
When
Yes.
they're able to
good
do
at
it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would compare it almost to like Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Have you ever read his or
Yeah.
listened to his
Yes.
audiobooks?
Big
Oh,
fan.
so good. And that accent as well. So just the pacing, like the way he pauses, he hadn't done anything like that before, but it was very natural.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because it is a very simple story. And so hearing it in that beautiful tone and hearing the spaces and all that really.
Well, that's why I
feels
think
like
it's
a
so
movie.
impressive because, you know, it's 2D and it's very leaning into the visual aspect. So I heard feedback from a coworker of ours that the audiobook did a great job at painting that. And
absolutely.
So you feel like you're there, you can understand what you're supposed to be seeing through the author and through the music. It kind of builds this 3D world for
Nice.
something that is just normally a very
Yeah.
visual thing.
I
Yes.
think that really speaks to the concept of not labeling artists, right? So I know some actors and musicians who will just say, I'm an artist. And it takes whatever form it takes. And this book seems to do the same kind of thing, whereas it takes several different media forms and makes an art piece out of it.
I think what's interesting is in the introduction, he talks about how for him, he's not a very good reader, that for him, pictures are an island in an ocean of words. And yet he uses words so beautifully to paint the same picture. And I think that kind of shows that there really isn't as much of a difference as we think. They really are integrated in your mind.
So I think a really interesting aspect about this book is the fact that it's like a non-linear.
Mm-hmm,
So
yes.
it kind of leans into how it is pretty non-traditional.
Yeah, so out of habit, like I read front to back, but it is kind of nice when you're picking it up and looking for something that speaks to you. I said a different thing might speak to you on a different day, and to just kind of flip through. I'd love to see somebody else test it and kind of just cherry pick it and go through and see if it's still, when you're messing around with the pace like that, it can be hit or miss. When it's done well, it's really neat. When it's not, it's annoying. So
Right.
And I think it's done really well. And there's still a storyline.
Yeah.
There is still a tale if you're somebody who wants to seek that out. I love the ability to balance both, because that's got to be so difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like that format is perfect for this type of book because it is a book that is very much what you get from it is how you like your world viewpoint and what you're looking to get from it. Mm-hmm. So being able to jump in at any point just seems kind of natural for that format.
Mm-hmm. And then again, there is an overarching story. The trade-off is that it's not a super strong overarching story, but I think it does tell a tale, and I appreciated the overall tale as well.
And it's one of those with the art style. It's just, I haven't read the book, but I flipped through it a little bit. It's a really simple but really pretty art style. Like you were saying, that listening to the audiobook and just reading the book is just a very soothing sort of thing. The art, I think, has a huge part of that because it's very soft. It's all like brush strokes, and it's very watercolor when it does bring the color in.
I do have a question about the use of color, because you said it's used very sparingly. Is that done with like great intent? Do you feel like the color is there to evoke like a certain response or to highlight a certain emotion?
I think so. Like for me personally, I love the colored picture so much. I wish that there was more of it, but I do think that it's wise to use that to really emphasize things.
Like the dramatic moments.
Yeah, like the dramatic moments, or having color and then taking that color away can create drama as well.
Oh, that's a great point.
Do you think that it would be as compelling without the use of that artwork? Some of the reviews that I've read, the criticism is that people struggle to read the font. But I love the font and I love the brushwork there.
Yeah.
And I wonder, if you were just to read the text without the artwork, if that would detract from it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, and if it wasn't stylized, because like the artwork, it is very brush strokey with the writing. So if it was just Times New Roman, would it evoke
I had
those
heard
same
that
things?
criticism as well, but I kind of looked into it and I saw that the font, yes, is cursive, but it's a piece of the artwork. So the font it changes, it gets added color, its color's taken away, it kind of reflects the art per page itself, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to approach your words for your book.
Yeah.
I think so. The only time that I really struggled with is the introduction. And I think in a way, when you're dealing with a very stylistic font like that, having the pictures is kind of that oasis in the middle of the desert of those words, because that was the only part where I really struggled reading it. But it is so pretty that to me, it's worth the effort, but I can certainly see how that could be a barrier.
Yeah.
But I only really see it in the introduction. It might be a little hard to read, but there's not a lot of font per page. So I don't see it as intimidating, but I can certainly see how some people struggled with it, because it is cursive and kind of stylized, and some parts are thicker because it is that kind of like brush stroke looking instead of a uniform kind of font.
Yeah.
Do you think that stylization of like the writing and the fact that, like we had said, you can kind of hop into it anywhere, does that have any play into like the pacing if you're reading the book?
I mean, it might slow you down, that you have to concentrate on it, and sort of if you're concentrating on that, maybe you're focusing on a deeper meaning already. Your mind's into that, like what is the meaning behind this? What am I analyzing?
I was going to say,
As
like,
opposed
whether that's deliberate or not, I feel like that's to the benefit of the book. It's
Absolutely.
not something to blast through in one sitting. You're going to want to sit there and take as much meaning as you can out of each page.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say for me, I've always been wired for words. And like even with music, like I love music, but I can't listen to music that has words in it before bed because I'm focused on the words.
Yep.
And whereas this way of writing the words is like art. So if I just want to look at the picture, that's not going to distract me immediately. Whereas if it was in a regular font, my mind would immediately go to the font because I'm
Gotcha.
just wired for words that way.
They'd be like, no, here's where we need to be paying attention.
Yes,
Focus
like,
on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Almost like a sign. And instead of like, it can be something that blends into the picture in a really nice way. And so because of that, you then have to put a little more effort to focus on it.
I kind of noticed in the reviews, a lot of people, just like when we were talking about The Alchemist last time, people treat this as a book to revisit, to kind of reconnect or to reiterate those points that it's making and kind of center themselves.
Yeah, for me, that's kind of the nature of my interaction with books. I know a lot of the patrons that I interact with and the people that come to the library, have always come to the library. It's sort of like you get it, you connect with the book, you move on to the next thing. For me, when I was young, I really wasn't brought to the library, but if I asked for books, my parents would always get them for me. And as someone who loved reading and would read every day, that meant a lot of rereading the same books. So for me, reading has always been kind of like a comfort thing. If I like a book, I'll read it multiple times.
Yeah.
It fits the mood. Like sometimes you're like, I have a craving for Italian and you want some pasta. Like for me, I'm like, I have a craving for, I kind of want a good cry. I'm gonna read the book that's gonna break my heart.
I'm gonna go grab Tuesdays with Maury.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Do you have any books that you've encountered that you would liken to this one, or is it kind of standing alone?
I think the mention of Winnie the Pooh was kind of a good one. It has that very timeless classic kids book, like The Little Prince, where there's wisdom in it. A little less story, I would say, than those. But I think the art paints the picture in this case.
Yeah.
So, and I do think that those are the ones that it definitely speaks to the heart less than the mind.
What I always think is interesting with books is looking into the deeper meaning, like what do you feel the author's intent or ultimate purpose was from their perspective when they're writing it. Of course, everyone's going to take it in their own way, but what do you feel like the author was trying to get across, and do you feel like they were successful with that?
For me, a lot of what spoke to me was a lot of the being kind to yourself. We're really pushing for a world where people are better to each other, that they're taking care of each other, and sometimes we're too harsh on ourselves. There's a line about, I wish there was a school of unlearning to unlearn the things that you as you get older, you're like, I wish I knew this when I was younger kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of spoke to me, the wisdom of what I wish I had known before, that you can be kind to yourself, that it's good to be kind to yourself, that asking for help there's a great line in there about asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to. And
Nice.
So these messages that when you're growing up and you're trying to be what you think of as an adult, or even maybe what you think of as macho or masculine, or what you think of as a strong female, and just saying like, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And when you acknowledge your vulnerability, that's a strength.
Yeah, that too many times we look at strength as I have to do this on my own.
Yes.
Where it's like, sometimes, that's not always an invalid way to look at it. But it's like you were saying, there is strength in knowing when you do need help and reaching out for that.
Exactly.
I also think there's something to be said for a growth journey that incorporates the idea of self-awareness. I think becoming more self-aware is definitely something that we do as we get older and learn how we work with others in the world, how we live with others in the world, how we communicate. And part of that is knowing ourselves. And acknowledging the areas we need to grow and acknowledging our strengths as well.
Right.
And do you think that this speaks to any of that?
I think it does. And for me, when I was reading it, it sort of almost felt like each creature is a different life stage. So you have the boy who's kind of the open book, the brand new slate, trying to understand the world that he finds himself in. And then you have the mole who is, obsessed with cake and wants
Same.
what he wants, and so there's that, like, you get a little bit older and you experience the world and what there is, and you want the good things, and you're trying to learn from the others. He references things that he's learned from other moles or things that he has figured out. So I feel like he's the next stage up in your growth. And then the fox is you've been out on life enough to have been knocked down by life.
Right.
Where you
to start getting bitter about it.
To start getting bitter, to start being afraid, to feel the need to protect yourself. For the horse, I think he's that next level where you've kind of moved on from the bitterness, where you're older and you're in a place where you can be a little more generous to others. His kind of role in that is reassuring the others, being that protective thing for the others, the gentle, the biggest thing, but the gentlest thing they meet. And that's that when you reach the next stage in life where you're a little more secure in who you are, when you've learned the lessons that the others haven't learned yet, and to try and share that wisdom with the next generation. You know.
And you had mentioned earlier when we were chatting, the horse has a line basically saying, we're all winging it.
Yes.
So it sounds like it has that maturity of being like, it's okay to not know things. No one knows all the things. Like, we're all just faking it until we're like, oh, I do actually understand it now.
I love that reading of the book because in all the reviews I've read, I haven't seen anyone make that connection. I think that's like really brilliant for storytelling purpose, and then just for the growth of the book, for perspective. I think that's really interesting.
I've seen the creatures as kind of like different life
stages.
stages.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it felt to me, and like, the backgrounds that I have in like psychology and human development and things like that it felt like reaching different stages in your life and the different kind of things you have to accomplish in your life.
I think that kind of speaks to the depth that's there, because some of the criticism I'd seen is they take it at face value. They just see a platitude or an aphorism and they move right on. They don't care to look into the depth, but it goes to show that there is some depth if you're choosing to look into it and then kind of reflect that upon yourself.
Yeah, I mean, whatever form you take it, literature, but especially this, it's art. And art is supposed to make you feel things and inspire you or mind or your creativity. And so for me, it inspired, okay, well, what do these represent? You know, what part speaks to me? If you're just taking at it, you're like, oh, that's a nice platitude and move on. And I've been that way when you see, you know, very popular in decor right now was, you know, live, laugh, love and all these other things. And you're like, well, that's nice, but that's not really for me.
Right.
But if it's inspiring and speaking to someone. And so that's where it has value is, does it trigger something in you? There's nothing better than experiencing someone else's passion. One of my coworkers on the way here, because I get very nervous about stuff like this ahead of time. Like when I'm doing it, it's fine, but like the dreading and the anticipating of it. And she's like, oh, what are you going to be talking about? And I told her this book and they're all used to me like harassing everybody into reading it. And she's like, oh, good. You're so passionate about that. And I'm like, that's a nice way of putting it.
Right. Well, and say the idea of like, I love how much you love that thing.
Yes. And I love experiencing passion through others. So I have my own passions, but if you talk to someone about their passion, it becomes interesting, even if it's the most boring topic outside of it. You know, like if somebody's,
I'm really into oyster farming.
Yes. Or like oil rigs or something, you know, like, but when they talk about like, oh, well, here's the history of it and here's the structure and here's why the structure has to be this and here's the concerns that they have. And like when you hear it from the voice and the heart of the person who's passionate about it, it's so awesome. And it just makes me excited about things too.
There's nothing more exciting and charming than when someone lights up like that, when they're talking about something that makes them passionate and they're just geeking out. Like that's some of my favorite conversations, when someone's just like spilling their heart about like the thing they're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the questions we like to ask is, would you read another book by this author? But I know that this is the first book by Charlie Mackesy. So are you excited for another one?
I mean, I would certainly give it a shot. Absolutely. Just for the art. I mean, even if the story doesn't hold up, but I don't know if, like, for him, it was, the impression I get was that it was a dream to do something like this. And I don't know if that's like where his like goal moving forward is. You know, I think it's still art. I could see like a collection of his works that may or may not have an overarching thing.
I think a collection is a safe bet. I know right now he's busy working on a film adaptation of this. It's going to be an animated film that's going to premiere on BBC One as a Christmas special this year, 2022.
I'm so excited. Like so many people, because they know I'm obsessed with this, have been like, hey, I hear they're making a movie. And I'm like, I know.
I just need to make sure it's on your radar.
It seems like it's got a great cast. Tom Hollander as the mole, Idris Elba as the fox, Gabriel Byrne as the horse, and then newcomer Jude Coward-Nicole as the boy.
Nice.
Oh,
Everyone's
wow.
going to be falling in love with the fox.
Oh yeah, that Idris Elba voice.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful smoky
Can't be
voice.
beat. Yep.
And I can't complain about the casting. I can't think of anybody that I'd want to like change out or anything like that. Like, that just sounds amazing.
I think the approach
Sign me
too
up.
is like a shorter Christmas special. Kind of makes sense for the form of the book, since it isn't a long narrative or anything.
Right.
Yeah. I think it'll just be interesting art style wise to see if they keep the similar soft watercolory
I
between
hope
color
so.
and black and white of the book, or if it's going to be done differently.
I hope the style stays the same. I would love to see a little more of the color, like the color pages, but it's fine if they don't. Something about like when you said the art style, it kind of made me think of, do you remember that like Snowman book that they turned into a movie and the whole time it's playing Moonlight Sonata? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
doesn't
It
ring
sounds
any
very
bells to
artsy,
me.
and I like it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and it's all very like soft and kind of like, not like blurry, but you know, like that watercolor softness that I'm talking about. I don't know how to put it in words.
my Christmas specials, being older than you guys,
The
were
claymation
You're not that much older
the
than me.
claymation.
Of like Rudolph and
The Heat Miser.
Yes.
So Amy, are you excited about any upcoming media books, anything that you're into?
I've been thinking I kind of want to get back into nonfiction. It's one of those things that I, used to not think of myself as getting into. I've always kind of been a perennial student, but I've got my master's degree now. I'm not spending any more money on tuition. So I have to find another way to kind of feed that desire to learn more. And I think nonfiction is getting better. Like I had my own kind of hang up about it. Like, oh, it's going to be boring and dry. And I want an adventure story. Because for me, like what I look for in a book is, does it take me somewhere else?
Like that page turner aspect.
Yes.
Yep.
And I realized like that's not popular with like the book clubs that are at my branches.
Yeah.
They're like, I want that compelling drama between two people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, no, give me magic.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. So, but I think that the nonfiction that I've read lately has been more of like, there's really cool narratives or a really interesting way of presenting it. I recently read Stuff Matters, and it was written by a materials scientist. And so some of the chemistry was a little beyond me because it's been a long time since I've done chemistry, but it was interesting the way he decided to tackle the subject. So he took a picture of himself and decided to talk about all of the different materials that are in that picture. So it was like him drinking tea, eating a chocolate bar, sitting on a rooftop.
Yeah.
And so he discussed things like ceramics from the teacup, how chocolate is made, plastic. And so like that was the frame in which he covered the topics. But even the way he presented the different topics was very interesting. When he was covering plastics, he did it almost kind of like a screenplay of the Old West, because it started as a creation to replace what billiard balls used to be made of. And it was just really interesting, the angle that he took it from. And I feel like people are getting more adventurous about that. And it's not like reading a textbook anymore.
Yeah.
That book sounds really interesting.
It's really cool. Stuff Matters.
Okay, awesome.
And he has another book called Liquid Rules. And that one, I understand, is from the frame of a flight he's taking overseas, because I think he's English and he's flying. And so he talks about like the fuel in the plane, alcohol, and I don't know it all else yet. So.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I had to look that up. It's Mark Miodownik. I hope I'm
Yes.
saying that right.
I think that's
seems
how the
really
audiobook
interesting.
It was interesting to me, like, to learn the history of things, because it's the history, the chemical structure, the things that they're playing with. So like it was talking about concrete, right? And that's, us being here in Michigan in the winter, our concrete frost heaves and separates, and so how do you repair it? And they're playing around with these special concretes that you have that have bacteria in, that their waste product is like calcium silicate, which you use to make cement. So it's self-repairing cement. And I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Right.
Man, yeah, that would be amazing in Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, please. Replace the roads with that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us
thank you.
and letting us know about this book. It sounds really interesting, and I'll definitely have to put it on my holds list. Would you like to stick around for our 1-star and 5-star reviews?
Sure. Am I allowed to chime in and tell them they're wrong?
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Feel free.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let's get started with 5-star. I'll do that if you want to take care of the 1-stars today, Katie.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'm going to get started with Chelsea from Goodreads. Chelsea says, I don't know how this book managed to simplify all of life's complex emotions and abstract thoughts, but it does. This little story managed to encompass all the morals of feel-good children's books, yet still made me think as an adult.
Nice. I love
Well
that.
said.
My first 1-star is from Elena, and it's captioned, "This is not a literature, but rather a spiritual brochure with pictures. I am very disappointed with this book. I cannot even call it a book. The text is almost impossible to read, especially," I think that was supposed to be especially, "on Kindle, and there are only few pages of text. The rest are pictures. I cannot believe people give it 5 stars."
I wonder if she didn't know it was a graphic novel.
Oh,
Right.
I will say that I do own the Kindle copy of this, and it is not optimally formatted. Because the funny thing is I actually read a lot of like graphic novels and comics and manga and stuff as e-readers. And a lot of them you can like double tap and it zooms in and you're like, yeah, this looks great. And it really doesn't do that well. So I wouldn't recommend the ebook. I do find the spiritual aspect strange. I guess maybe because so often spiritual is connected with religious.
Yeah.
And it's not religiously focused.
Yeah.
It's just more philosophical.
Yeah, it's more philosophical.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this person also judges like word count by like how much money they spend.
Yes.
It's like, I'll pay you more if there's more words in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Each word is 10 cents.
Like
It
you
doesn't
feel like
add
you're
up.
getting ripped off. Like, what?
Right.
This bag only has 10 chips in it.
Right.
I paid $20. That's 20,000 words.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right. Come on, man. Get with it.
My next review is a 5-star review from Pramjit from Goodreads. They say, I listened to the audio of this, narrated beautifully by Charlie Mackesy, in a meditative style that is sublime and just begs to be listened to again and again, whenever you feel the need for it. This is the perfect read and listen in our turbulent crisis-hit times, helping me to knit back together our battered bodies and souls. I would certainly recommend it for the simplicity of its pearls of wisdom for those suffering from certain mental health issues such as depression. Needless to say, I am not surprised that this is loved by so many. If you have not read or heard this, I strongly urge you to give it a try. Pure gold.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
lovely.
That
Yep.
kind of speaks to what I was saying is it's very soothing to me. Like it's something I can listen to when I'm very stressed, kind of like Bob Ross.
He's just got that personality of like, oh, it's fine. Like,
It's fine. Well,
it's a
and just
happy
the
little
voice,
accident.
yeah.
There you go. A happy accident.
And I watch him create these beautiful things, and I'm like, I watched him do it, and I still don't know how he did it.
Right. Right. It's like, I'm still just amazed.
Yeah. I know,
You
watch
pulled
it.
the curtain back, but I'm still like, what?
I watch. I'm just like, didn't get any of that. But
Yeah.
I'm super relaxed now. That's all that matters.
Yes, exactly.
My next 1 star comes from Jim Miller. It's captioned with, really? It's cute, simplistic, and therapeutic. The characters carry on a directionless conversation filled with lines that range from petty, is the glass half full or empty? I'm just glad to have a glass, to the borderline but never quite thoughtful. What's the bravest thing you've ever said? Help. To the mostly saccharine, no matter how it appears, everyone has their struggles. These are wannabe inspirational quotes that never rise to the pithiness of aphorisms or poignancy of poetry. The artwork is cute, but not astounding. Better than novice, but not prize-winning. Overall, the book is an overrated testimony to the American reader's need sentimental platitudes. I think we missed a word in there. It's just a shadow of Winnie the Pooh. There was a little star in there next to no matter how it appears, everyone has their struggles. Here's what the star says. I should note, my quotes are not exact because I wasn't paying $23 for a 128-page comic book with a sentence on every page, so I read the whole thing while walking around the bookstore and don't now have a copy.
I didn't pay $23 for this, but that is the price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Amazon.
Kind of funny he mentions, like, calls out the American aspect because, like, from when I was getting reviews, it's like pretty much worldwide people really enjoy it, but it's a British book.
I think it was on like a lot of talk shows and stuff when it really hit big. I think part of it too is like that whole does it inspire you? And for someone who they're not looking for that sentimental connection, it's not going to.
Yep.
You're not going to get anything out of it, and that's fine.
Something that I find interesting, though, is like, I should note, I wasn't paying $23 for it. It's not worth that. But he walked around the bookstore and read all 128 pages. So it's like,
Yeah.
it clearly something kept you reading, even though you were like, this isn't very thought-provoking. It's not very poignant. It's not very inspirational. It's like, then why did you keep reading?
But he was
Well,
pulled in.
I do want to add to that. If you don't want to pay for a book, visit your local library.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Your
We
library
have
will
this.
have
Glad
it
you
for
went there. I
free.
would have.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that this is a matter of, whenever you hear somebody talk about like only one, sentence per page and stuff like that, like we'll hear that with parents who are like, I don't want my kids reading graphic novels. If you're looking for volume, you're probably someone who connects more to words than pictures. So it's just not going to be for you. Mm-hmm. And that's totally fine. We all connect to different things.
And reading's reading. I think the cool thing with these types of books or graphic novels is that they're like a jumping off point. If you like it, it's an inspiration to dig deeper and find more.
Yes.
Right.
I've also seen in some of the reviews that some of the people are so inspired that they're getting their sketchbook out at the same time that they're reviewing the book and letting it be an inspiration for their own art form.
Yep.
So my next 5-star review comes from Mike Villano from Amazon. It's titled So Beautiful in Its Simplicity. He says, this book will take the average reader probably 15 minutes to get through, but do yourself a favor and spend a hearty half hour with it. Not that it takes time to get its messages, more like it takes time savoring what it has to tell us about ourselves and our relationships. I may have forgotten a lesson or two myself over 62 years of life. A word to 1-star reviewers. Really? I get you can't dig the simplicity of the fable, but I was so touched. I was crying by the end of it. I am happy my heart is not hardened enough that I can't enjoy this lovely little tale. That was sweet.
Nice. Yeah. I do appreciate that coming right after, Jim's was titled, really. Yes,
exactly.
He repeated the same language there of just like, to everyone giving it a 1 star, really? Like,
Mike might have read Jim's review.
yeah, and been like, my dude, come on. My last 1-star review for today comes from Neil R. Coulter. It says, by about 3 pages in, I wanted to throw this book in the toilet. But it came from the library, so I didn't. Thank you.
Yes,
Your
thank
library
you.
appreciates that.
Yes.
Thank you.
In the introduction, the author says, I'd like it to be a book you can dip into anywhere, anytime. Start in the middle if you like. So I tried it. I opened to the middle and read this. I've discovered something better than cake. No, you haven't, said the boy. I have, replied the mole. What is it? A hug. It lasts longer. I rest my case. I'm like, I see nothing wrong with that. Because coming from someone who
that's
loves
up to the
cake,
jury, I guess.
yeah, coming from someone who loves cake, I'll agree. A good hug is better. So
We touched upon this with The Alchemist, but this is hitting a lot of similar themes in the sense that this is your perspective, your lifestyle, the kind of person you are really informs what you're going to get from this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, that one is helped by reading another spot. We're like reading how much he's obsessed with cake. And then it has a little more meaning when he's like, no, there is something better than cake. And they're like, no, you're not. You're always talking about cake. Like,
yeah, I find it hard to believe that you found something that you like
Exactly.
better than this thing that you love.
Like, it feels like they're going to be like, I know something better than cake. 2 cakes.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that.
Exactly.
All right, and for the last 5-star review, I just want to finish on this because I thought it was really succinct and cute. It says, it was from Sarah on Goodreads, 5-star review. She says, this book feels the same way the smell of freshly baked cookies and a warm hug feels.
Nice.
Aw.
And I say, if that doesn't make you immediately think, oh, this is going to be a comforting book, then I don't know what to tell you.
That sells it.
But do yourself a favor. Like, if you're in a mood where you are not in a good place, don't read it. It's not going to do anything for you. You have to be in a space where you're open for it. Like, so it is soothing to me. Like, when I am angry, like, I do find it soothing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of why I like people, why I do what I do,
Yeah.
why I believe in the good of people. But there's also days where I've been like, oh, screw this.
I don't want to believe in
like,
people.
oh.
Yeah.
You know, you have that day where you're like, I don't need this sentimental crap right now. I got stuff to do, you know, and if you're in that space, it's not going to speak to you.
It's not going to hit well. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Amy.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Really loved talking with you. Definitely planning to check out the book and the audiobook version because it sounds like they're different experiences, but
Very
both
different, but both very good.
both very worth it. So stay tuned to hear Amy's reading of the first chapter of The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Hello. You started at the beginning, which is impressive. I usually start in the middle and never read introductions. It's surprising that I've made a book because I'm not good at reading them. The truth is, I need pictures. They are like islands, places to get to in a sea of words. This book is for everyone, whether you're 80 or 8. I feel like both sometimes. I'd like it to be one you can dip into anywhere, anytime. Start in the middle, if you like. Scribble on it, crease the corners, and leave it well thumbed. The drawings are mainly of a boy, a mole, a fox, and a horse. I'll tell you a little about them, although I'm sure you'll see things here that I don't, so I'll be quick. The boy is lonely when the mole first surfaces. They spend time together gazing into the wild. I think the wild is a bit like life, frightening sometimes, but beautiful. In their wanderings, they meet the fox. It's never going to be easy meeting a fox if you're a mole. The boy is full of questions. The mole is greedy for cake. The fox is mainly silent and wary because he's been hurt by life. The horse is the biggest thing they've ever encountered, and also the gentlest. They're all different like us, and each has their own weakness. I can see myself in all 4 of them. Perhaps you can too. Their adventures happen in the springtime, where one moment snow is falling and the sun shines the next, which is also a little bit like life. It can turn on a sixpence. I hope this book encourages you, perhaps, to live courageously with more kindness for yourself and for others, and to ask for help when you need it, which is always a brave thing to do. When I was making the book, I often wondered, who on earth am I to be doing this? But as the horse says, the truth is, everyone is winging it. So I say spread your wings and follow your dreams. This book is one of mine. I hope you enjoy it, and much love to you. Thank you, Charlie. We'll start our excerpt with a page that has a big open valley, clouds rolling through the sky, and hills, and a small image of the little boy and the mole sitting in front of it. What is that over there? The boy asks. It's the wild, said the mole. Don't fear it. Imagine how we would be if we were less afraid. And the next page takes place at night. The boy and the mole are sitting in a low-hanging branch of a tree. It's dark and there's snow falling, and all of a sudden, a fox starts creeping below the branch they're sitting in. Imagine how scary that would be, to be a mole with a fox right below you. You'd sit up there holding your breath, hoping that it doesn't notice you're there. A little while later, the boy and the mole encounter the fox again. This time he's trapped in a snare, straining to get to them. They approach, but not so close that he can reach them. "I'm not afraid," said the mole. "If I wasn't in this snare, I'd kill you," said the fox.
Thanks for listening. Feel free to email us at podcast@myjdl.com with any thoughts you have about our reading from today, any materials you think we should touch on in future episodes, or any questions you may have about library materials, events, or services. Any views or opinions expressed by the hosts or their guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of the Jackson District Library as a whole. This podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only.